people that had joined the church from these different groups, they were bringing in their culture and their religious understanding of God, man, sin, etc. into the church. There was Judaism, legalism, mysticism, aestheticism, and philosophy. Now, under normal circumstances, today, people regard philosophy as a high, very lofty quality. Philosophy is a doctor in philosophy. These are all good things. All good things. But what was coming into the church were good things from the culture of the people. There were positive things, like meats and drinks, special festival days, feast days, new moons. These are good things, positive things. Paul realized that the one thing that was happening was that people were beginning to add into the mix their own ideas, their own culture, to enhance this experience. And he writes them a letter, and he reminds them about Christ. He says to them, this man, Christ, is the image of the invisible God. He is the beginning of all creation. Through him, by him, for him, all things in heaven and earth that was created was created. He was the very agency of the whole creation, of the mountains, the oceans, the rivers, the trees, the sea. He's the source. He is the one who created all things. In this person, Jesus Christ, probably between 5 and 6 foot high, dwelt all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. In him were all the treasures of the wisdom and the knowledge of God, lived in him in his bodily form. He says, and this one came, and he redeemed you. He transferred you out of darkness into the kingdom of light. Now, what was the darkness? The darkness was Jewish religion, the law. It was philosophy. It was belief in the power that principalities, powers, rulers, all these elements have. He says he came, and with one act, he took upon himself all the consequences ad infinitum, from the beginning of mankind to the end of mankind. He took upon himself all the blame, all the consequences, all the judgment due to man because of man's disobedience, man's fall, all of the sins of mankind, and in his own body he absorbed the full consequences of the judgment of God and all its implications, and exhausted the wrath of God over all of mankind's iniquity, sin, weakness, failure, mistakes. He absorbed it and exhausted it in his own body on the cross, nailing to the cross every ordinance, every judgment, every accusation, every warrant, everything that was against you. He nailed it to his own body on the cross and took it out of the way. He also came And he triumphed over every spirit, every principality, every power, every ruler of darkness, all of these things that people feared and somehow had some kind of concern about. He says he took all of their power and publicly brought it to nothing. He stripped them of all hold, authority, claim over mankind once and for all. He said, this man, in this man, Jesus Christ, all the fullness of God dwells. God dwells in him. If you have him, you have all of God. You know what I'm saying? Yes. In him you have the fullness. You see, what was beginning to happen is people were saying, well, maybe we can add this and do this, because, you see, it's important what you believe. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Yeah. There's a town in America, I wish I knew what the name was. The city hall is built in such a way. There's a dividing line in the middle of the town. If a raindrop falls, if the wind blows a raindrop and it falls on this side of the town hall roof, it will run all the way into the Pacific Ocean. If by some chance wind the raindrop falls on that side, it will run all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Can you see how by just a slight persuasion of words, empty deceit, philosophy, something good, not necessarily something bad, adding to Christ. What you believe influences the way you act. Your persuasion controls your behavior. What you believe determines your ultimate outcome. So what was happening was, Paul saw this danger. You see, he says to them, when we read that, in this man, Jesus of Nazareth, in him, in his physical human form, dwelt the fullness of the Godhead bodily. That this man united heaven and earth, human flesh, and the Spirit of God, joined, intertwined, and became united in this man, Jesus Christ. Divinity and humanity became inseparable. The illusion or delusion of separation, which man experienced since he became an enemy of God in his mind and hid from God in shame since Adam. The illusion of separation, Jesus in his own person eliminated once and for all. Yeah. He joined heaven and earth together. You see, the moment that raindrop falls on the wrong side of the roof and you begin to believe there's some separation, if you begin to doubt somehow that on the cross of Jesus Christ, he eliminated all, cancelled out once and for all distance between man and God, and man, that in his one act, he cancelled out all difference between